academic year, we aspire to convert any uncertainty into opportunity to all of us to grow. With a brilliant and productive team and their mind-blowing ideas for event, we aspire to make this academic year a remarkable one. There are numerous webinars, lecture series, industrial visit, and many more planned for this year. And I would also like to thank the previous year team for leading this way for us to accomplishing so many miles in such a challenging circumstances. I would also like to express my gratitude to everyone who could make it to this auspicious ceremony for showing us your constant support and encouragement. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Hima, for your kind words. Now I would like to welcome the Dean of our Humanities, Mr. Clement de Souza, to share a few words with us.
Thank you. Respected Rajesh, Professor Frieza, the coordinator of the program, Ms. Anita Noronna, the head of the department, faculty members, and my dear students of postgraduate economics. I'll be very short in my address, but let me take a different viewpoints which may be useful for you in the days to come through this particular forum called as Oikonomika. Okay. This is like, I'm very happy, first of all, let me say, to have Rajesh with us. Of lately, we have seen there are a lot of former students coming to our college as a chief guest for different programs. It is like homecoming for them and homecoming for us, like our own offspring who has gone for a better pasture and comes back and shares a lot of rich experiences. So we are waiting to listen to you, dear sir. I know you have come back to your alumni with a lot of experience, lot of resources, and we'll be very happy when you share your thoughts. Even though we have shared a lot of thoughts outside this forum, now the students are really benefited from you when you address them. So we'll look forward for your welcome, sir. We look forward for your ideas that you are going to share with us, where you are going to encourage our students to see the new horizons. Dear students, thank you, sir. Dear students, I have certain things to tell you, which may be a little departure from the usual way of telling. Many times, of course, we need to give advice what next after PG economics. Okay, I have an idea which came to my mind. For example, let me tell you, see, students normally during their second year, maybe economics or many other programs, to have an industrial exposure, they go for internship. Okay, and they learn the activities in an industry, and so that can count for their credit as well as later as an experience for to get into a job into the industry. Now lately the jobs are depleting, normally not depleting not just because of the pandemic, mainly because with the new system, new structures falling in line under education or otherwise, the entire degree what you have right now, whether it's economics or any other program, they are all dealing from the jobs. Okay, the jobs are dealing from the degree. So you nothing to, I mean, you don't have to worry what next after that, but therefore I have a little suggestions for you. You can actually script your future through this particular program. I suggest that as a class or as a group of Economica, you can, like-minded people can come together and start a small concept called as a small mini school of economic ideas. Okay, when you come together, what happens is you can actually plan out for to become self-employed rather than to work under somebody. Maybe a one school, small mini school, can discuss about and plan and program about how to become a consultant or how to become an analyst. Okay. Likewise, each small school, a group formed from among yourself, can plan out what can be done for your future, and that itself, I have not defined it in a crude form, I've told you, that itself can be a platform for your self-employment in the days to come. For the very reason, because I told you that of lately the degrees are dealing from the job. So instead of repenting or instead of regretting what having studied a PG program and the job market is not availing my services, you can think something different. Okay, it can be an analyst job or it can be something else that you can plan out and put it into practice among your circle as if you are an industry, so that how best you can provide your services in the real world. One, okay. It can be called as an internship in a different way. Maybe few of you can become what you call economist journalist, write some articles, show to the other mini schools and get their viewpoints and try to publish it in the dailies. So any sunrise activities can be taken up by different schools, focus on one objective, and you can share with other schools, they take their viewpoints, and or even consult your teachers who are teaching PG or the UG program, and then you can develop conceptually, you can develop structural or any other ways where you can concretize the concept, which will help you to be self-employed rather than to depend upon somebody. Okay, I'll give one example. See, nowadays you see the prices are increasing. Okay, but at the same time we have this consumer economics is taking up its own shape theoretically in an academic field. But if you try to link these two situations, the reality, what you could see in the ground level and the classroom situation, see, you cannot have a consumer based economy when the consumer can't even afford to consume something. Okay, so how do you bridge the gap between the two? Think about it like a policy in a mini school, and you try to develop what you call a policy which will be useful for the society in the days to come, or through your school you can bring out pitch in ideas and draw out a policy. So likewise you can think about a new concept, having mini schools within your circle, which focuses on different ideas, develop on that, repeat once again, conceptually, structurally, and plan out for your self-employment. Okay, so this will help you rather than what most of us hear from the economists who say the result is mixed, I can't know what can be the future. But remember, this type of answer will tell us one thing: theory is different, data says opposite. That should not be your case of life. So my support is there always to you. I just gave a suggestion. You may have wonderful ideas, wonderful what you call thoughts. Put it together. Consult many teachers, outsiders, insiders, anybody, and any ideas, whatever you have, you bring it to us. We are there to support you. We are there to help you out. And always tell yourself your batch should be different from others. So with these few words, let me put an end, wishing all of you best wishes to do very well in the days to come, and best wishes to the coordinator, as well as we are eager to listen to Dr. Rajesh. And once again, I'm telling you all the best. Thank you for inviting me. Thank you, Frieza, and thank you to your team.
Thank you so much for your valuable words, sir. We would definitely apply all of this in our practical lives. And moving further, I would like to invite the Miss Anita Noronha from the head of the department.
Thank you very much. Very good evening to my esteemed colleagues and the chief guest of this afternoon's program, Dr. Rajesh, and of course to my dear students. So as we know, the past few months have been really tough for all of us, and slowly but surely, we are getting back to normalcy. And very soon, that is next month, we will see you all in campus. And I'm sure all of you are looking forward to this day. So, when I'm talking about Oikonomika, I should say that I started off in 2008 with the PG department association Oikonomika. And when we started this particular association, it started on a very small scale. And I would like to place on record the contribution from Dr. Rajesh for making all our events at Oikonomika very, very successful. Thank you so much, Dr. Rajesh, for always being our support, especially for all the events, intercollegiate events that we have held all these years at Oikonomika. Thank you so much for your support. And I'm so glad that you're a part of the inauguration program today.
Welcome, madam. My pleasure. Happy to be associated with this cause.
Thank you, sir. Economica, led by the faculty coordinator, Professor Frieza, has done phenomenally well in spite of time constraints that are bound to happen in a postgraduate course. The intercollegiate fairs, lectures, industrial visits have made the association more vibrant. Professor Clement, our dean, has already given you all a very good message, and he has also put forth a lot of valuable suggestions, which I feel you all should take it up really seriously and go ahead with starting off a small, uh, like an incubation center, I would say, to get yourselves ready for the outside world. But alongside, I would also like to give you all a little bit of advice, especially to all the students pursuing post graduation. First and foremost, it is very important to build a very good network within or outside the academic circles. Secondly, it is also important to develop a set of skills which would make each one of you ready for the competitive world. Write as many research papers as possible and make sure they are published. Work on projects, whether it is within college, outside college, whenever you get an opportunity to work on a project, don't give it up. Grab as many internship opportunities as possible. I think this will help you all to have a 360-degree development, which is not possible in a classroom situation. And always remember, we at St. Joseph's College Department of Economics, all the faculty members are always here to support and help you. So please feel free to contact us, whether it's the undergraduate department or the postgraduate department. Please feel free to contact us for any help or support that you need. And also, I would like to end my message with a very important aspect that I always believe students should have, the three P's. What are these three P's that I usually tell my students that we should follow? First one is perseverance. Never get, taken aback by facts that you may not be able to achieve certain things. Always be persevering behind it. Always go forward with the hope that yes, someday you're going to be successful. Second, patience. Nothing comes easy in life, so you need to have a lot of patience in life, and the best will happen to you. And the most important, the third one, is punctuality. Always know that time is money, and time once lost will never come back. Hence, really value your time and also value the time of others. And all these three P's will definitely help us become successful and at the same time more responsible individuals. So I would like to take this opportunity to wish the Economica team led by Professor Frieza and the student team all the very best. May you all find success in all that you do. Thank you so much for this opportunity and good luck.
Thank you so much for your valuable words, ma'am. Now, I would request report by Vishnu Priya.
Just give me 1 second. Is my screen visible?
Yes, it is.
Yeah, thank you. So good afternoon, good evening, everyone. Oikonomika, like we know, is the association for the postgraduate economic students, which help the students to acquire the necessary skills and keep in par with the current world as economists. Oikonomika seeks to evince interest in economics among young students by helping them to explore the various dimensions and applications of well-known theories and create opportunities to interact among themselves and with the eminent scholars. Every year, the association organizes numerous activities like guest lectures, seminars, industrial visits, and peer teaching, union budget discussions, etc. So, following are the activities which have been conducted last year. So, we started our academic year by a debating event called Dialectics. On the topic, will convention education by replaced by online education? The debate took place on 24th September 2020. Then followed by a guest lecture, an online guest lecture on the 13th October 2020 on the topic Behavioral Economics to Nudge and Influence Decision Making. The talk was delivered by Ms. Sanjana Singh, a research scholar at Utrecht University, Netherlands. Then a third event was a virtual tour, which organized a virtual tour of soap industry for its members, which was facilitated by Ms. Neeta Bhupalam, founder of Bhupalam Botanicals. It was organized on MS Teams platform. Our final event for the year was an intercollegiate event called Connectonomics, which was conducted on 28th of May 2021. The event was judged by Dr. S. Rajesh, principal, BM English School, and Mr. Jishnu Vipin, faculty at St. Joseph Boy High School. We also had a in small infographics document on COVID awareness module by which spoke about the general information and the specific information about COVID and also the precautions that were required to be taken. Thank you.
Thank you, Vishnu Shri, for that informative report. And now we have an announcement of the office bearers.
Presenting to you the Oikonomika office bearers for the academic year 2021 and 22. Kritika Singh taking the post of secretary, Kavya C. Naik taking the post of joint secretary, Pooja Shankavaram taking the post of treasurer, and finally Arya Dubey taking the post of documentation head.
Thank you for the announcement. And now we have report by Amanda.
Good evening to everyone gathered here today. Welcome to the current report. In this segment, we will be disclosing the action plan for our Economic Association Oikonomika 2021-22. We, the dedicated team of Oikonomika, have put together an exciting host of events for this academic year. Our event plan for this year consists of 2 events, educational events and competitive events. Next slide. Our educational events aim to provide and create a platform through which the unity of knowledge is achieved. We have envisioned the following events in this regard: an industrial visit, a webinar on managing personal finance for millennials, lecture series on behavioral economics and health economics. Behavioral economics will be a 2-day lecture series event. On the first day, we will be discussing what is behavioral economics and why it is important. On the second day, we will be talking about a career in behavioral economics. Health economics will also be a 2-day lecture series event. On the first day, we will be talking about what is health economics and why is it important. On the second day, we will be addressing the critical issues in healthcare today. Next slide, please. Our competitive events aim to provide a platform for the young minds to showcase, share, and gain knowledge in the domain of economics. In this regard, we have the following events: a meme competition focusing on the ideas of renowned economists, Connectonomics, an intercollegiate economics fest consisting of 6 events: quiz, debate, an online treasure hunt, mock press, essay writing, and international trade game. Next slide, please. The tentative event dates for Oikonomika 2021-22 have been structured in such a manner that there is always something to look forward to. Our aim is to keep you engaged and informed throughout the year. We are planning for the Managing Personal Finance for Millennials webinar on October 2021. In the month of November, we plan to conduct Connectonomics. December, we will go through with the Behavioral Economics lecture series event. In the month of January, we plan to conduct an industrial visit. In the month of February, the two-day lecture series event on health economics. On the month of March, meme competition. And in the month of April, Malai. We trust that you are as excited as we are to dive into the festivities. We hope to do the best that we can for the association. Thank you.
Thank you, Amanda. And now comes the most awaited event, that is unveiling of logo by Kritika.
Okay, so here we have the winner for the logo competition that was held on 8th of October. Firstly, I would like to thank all the participants for their valuable contribution towards the event and the organizing committee for organizing the competition at such a short notice and holding it up so well. So our winner is Arya Dubey from MA Economics Semester 1, Department of Economics, School of Humanities. So let's have a big round of applause for Arya. Next slide, please. So this is the logo that has been chosen as the official logo for Oikonomika. And the idea that has been shared by Arya for designing the logo is that Aristotle basically defines economics as a household management, which means the problem of food, shelter, education, clothing, treatment, etc. for the family members. And the process for solving these problems is by earning money. And the second is that India being an agrarian nation, the logo focuses on the production of food grain and the economy's growth journey. So this was the idea that has been shared by Arya while designing the logo. So thank you so much, Arya, for this wonderful logo. And thank you everybody who participated in the logo making competition. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Kritika. And now we have introduction of the guest by Abhijit.
Good evening, respected professors and my dear friends. My name is Abhijit Sen, and it is an honor being here this wonderful evening. Our guest speaker today is an eminent academic personality. He is a humble intellectual who has many achievements. Today, he is going to talk about urban farming and waste management, and this is a topic we should all be deeply interested in. Because by adopting urban farming and learning the ways of waste management, we can ensure a sustainable future and an eco-friendly environment where we cohabit with life forms. It is my utmost pleasure and honor to introduce our chief guest for today, Dr. S. Rajesh. He at present is the principal of BM English School and also the managing director of BM Group of Schools. Dr. Rajesh holds a PhD in economics from Bangalore University and has a master's degree in history from Sri Venkatesh University. Educational Administration, MEd from University of Manchester, England. He also has a great experience in career counseling and guidance and life skill training. He has been visiting professor at the Postgraduate and Research Center of St. Joseph College since 2007. Dr. Rajesh is not new to our campus, and it is an honor to listen to him at any given opportunity. I request Dr. Rajesh to kindly address the student. Please welcome Dr. S. Rajesh.
Thank you. Thank you for the nice introduction. Well, it's a pleasure to be here. As Professor Anita was saying, I have been associated with Oikonomika ever since I joined the college as a visiting faculty in 2007-8. And this is the first time, it's the first of two things. Probably this is the first time I'm addressing this event virtually. And it's also for the first time that it is organized under the aegis of the School of Humanities. Proud to note that Joseph's is now a university and is modeled on the international way the universities are marked, like schools and departments and all these things. Pleasure to be here. So this is a virtual meet, and this we have been seeing only virtual meets over the past almost a couple of years. In fact, a meeting now has become synonymous with Zoom or Teams. So I have prepared a small PPT, and I'll be sharing it with you. We'll probably go on for about 25 to 30 minutes. I'll be sharing what I wish to share, and then we'll leave the floor open for the last 5 or 10 minutes for an interactive session or any queries that you may have with regard to what I will be presenting to you. I will be sharing my screen. Is the PPT visible there?
Yes, sir, it's visible.
Okay, so I'll go into the slideshow. I know the default when a PPT is shown is to look at the left-hand side panel and see how many slides are there in the presentation. There may be 41 slides, but I will not be dwelling in detail about all of those. This is just a guideline to let us go in the direction that we have to. Some slides will be just skimming through. Some slides will be going a little into detail. Well, what I have to share today is urban foodscapes, principles, and practices. You will see that I'm also the president of an NGO called Garden City Farmers, which is an NGO mainly with the intention of encouraging people to have gardens at home. The founder of this was one Dr. Vishwanath, who was fondly known as the father of organic terrace gardening in India, internationally known person, ex-professor at UAS. After his stint in UAS, he started this Garden City Farmers to promote urban agriculture in the organic way. Sadly, he passed away last year due to COVID, and now me and other enthusiasts like Dr. Hegde and a few others are taking this forward. Now, this is something for us to be alarmed about. We are talking about greenery, and see how we have, just in less than 50 years, the amount of greenery that we have consumed. In 1973, we had 68.2% as greenery, and today we have got 93.3% as non-greenery, which is built up area. It is evident from all these maps from 73 to 2020. So it's important that given our lifestyle, we can still do our bit to ensure that we can restore this greenery at least to some possible extent. Now this, I borrowed it from the Garden City Farmer slide. Plant a tree when a child is born and then watch them grow together. May not be the right thing for MA students here, but probably the right thing for you would be plant a tree when you land up in a job and see how it grows as you grow in the job. Most of you will be aware, as students of economics, many will be planning. The moment I get a job, I want to start an SIP in a mutual fund, a systematic investment plan in a mutual fund. Yes, that's going to give you good dividends as you grow in your career. Similarly, on the day you get your job, also plant a tree and see how it grows along with your career growth. Now, when we talk about urban foodscapes, I'll come to that, why we are talking about urban foodscapes a little later. Now, basically, we want to grow plants in cities. One is for ecological reasons, to get back the green cover and to make the city a cooler and a greener place. And there's also a fact that we are going to be faced with a tremendous shortage of foods not very far away from now, because as you all know, the cities are expanding, villages are moving away and away from the cities, forests are getting converted, there's very little green cover as far as the geography is concerned. Now, as far as the manpower is concerned also, no farmer today proudly says, I want my son to continue my profession. A doctor may say so, an engineer may say so, a teacher may say so. But sadly, no farmer says, I want my son to be a farmer. And that has resulted in farmers' migration. Youngsters are moving to cities, and agriculture is dwindling. It is no more a sort of a profession. It is the profession which feeds all other professions. But sadly, today the situation is different. Now, that is the quantitative aspect. The quantitative aspect that we are going to be faced with a food shortage not very far away from now. So we need to do our bit to grow what we can in the place what we stay. Now, coming to the qualitative aspect, look at the pesticide usage on food. As farmers are facing a shortage of resources, their only option is to go in for two things: add more chemicals to make the plant grow faster, look better, and add more pesticides to see that these plants have minimum investitions from pests. See, for example, in cauliflower, when the internationally accepted standard is 20 units, an average Indian cauliflower has 3,000 units. This you can see, I don't need to explain, the tomatoes, methyl, spinach. There are so many that are affected by excessive use of pesticides. We'll see what it can cause in the long run. Now, this is something which is a result of indiscriminate use of pesticides starting from the 1960s when we had the Green Revolution. I'll talk about that in the coming slide. But as you all know, you would have studied in Indian economics that we had something called a Green Revolution in the 1960s. That was followed by a White Revolution. That was followed by a Blue Revolution, which was followed by a Pink Revolution. Revolution in agriculture, revolution in dairy farming, revolution in marine life, and revolution in meat. Now, these were the revolutions which happened to increase the food production, food supply to the ever increasing population. As you may all know, that we were not self-sufficient in food grains at the time of independence, and even during the 1960s, we were dependent on the United States for the PL 480 and such other grants where they used to give us. Now, thanks to efforts of people like Dr. Swaminathan, who is known as the father of the Green Revolution. I had the fortune of meeting him in an event organized in St. Joseph's College a few years ago. With people like that, we could achieve self-sufficiency in food grains, but this was one of the side effects of that: high contamination levels in water, soil, and environment, and the use of toxic pesticides. Further on, vegetables today, due to the shrinking village farm area, vegetables are grown in and washed in dirty areas. You will see in all the suburbs, greens are grown in very dirty water. All along Mysore Road, where the sewage of Bangalore flows, you will find greens grown on the banks of all these rivers. Now, this is all the more reason for people like us to see that at least a part of the vegetable consumption we can grow on our own. So that is basically the prelude that I had wanted to give you before we started off going into the topic proper. Now, the qualitative side is important that we go in for organic farming. Organic farming, which includes less use of, no use of chemical fertilizers, use of bio repellents, and the use of hybrid. I'll come to that a little later. Now, when do you think organic farming originated? If a two-way communication is possible, I would be happy if somebody can participate. When do you think organic farming originated? Sadly, it is, yeah. No, sadly, this term organic farming is an antithesis to the indiscriminate use of chemicals during the Green Revolution. The farming of our good old days, done during the ancient days, even during our grandparents' time, was all organic. There was no such thing called organic farming. Like, for example, to give you an analogy, we called the telephone the landline only after the mobile came in. We call the color photo, the black and white became black and white only after the color photo came in. So these are the natural things, and organic was the natural thing which was happening due to the advent of the chemicals and pesticides during the 1960s. in India and also in the world over. And as an antithesis or as a reaction to this, we had the organic movement. And today, organic is used as a fancy tag that only the rich and the affluent are able to do it, but that's not the fact. Now, I was telling you about Dr. M.S. Swaminathan. I happened to meet him at an event in St. Joseph's College itself about 3 or 4 years ago in Xavier Hall. Now, he was talking about the Green Revolution, which was a necessity in those days. But now he says what is needed now is not the Green Revolution, but what we need is an evergreen revolution. Green Revolution was not sustainable. Green Revolution was not it was not able to be followed by generations to come because it involved the use of chemicals which permanently modified the nutritious properties of the soil. It also involved the use of pesticide which altered the eco balance, and it could not continue forever. In fact, even today in the Punjab, you've got an express train called the Cancer Express because most of the people in that region are affected by cancer and they go to the nearest town to get treated for cancer. All this is because of indiscriminate use of chemicals, indiscriminate use of pesticides. So what Dr. Swaminathan was saying is today we need a sustainable and an evergreen revolution. And that is exactly what we are going to share a little today. Now, when we talk about organic farming, we are talking of basically three things, or rather four things. One, giving natural nutrition to the plant. Giving natural nutrition, plants basically need N, P, and K, nitrogen, phosphorus, and potash as a major nutrients. This is available in natural components like cow dung and organic manure and vermicompost and all these things. Rather than going in for chemicals to give the nutrition, we rely on the natural components. So nutrition by organic methods. Next, pest management by organic methods in the sense in the regular agriculture, the idea is to kill the pest. We use what is called as a pesticide. The very word side means killing. You got suicide, you got homicide, you got genocide. So like that, you also got pesticide, which is killing the pest. But in this organic farming, we do not use pesticides to kill the pests, but rather use them to repel them or make them not to come. So that is the second component. And we do this by using all natural methods. We'll be talking a little about that later in this presentation. The third component is using seeds of local variety and not of hybrid. I think there's a slide coming to that, that a hybrid is an artificial thing where you merge two different breeds of the same product and create a third breed, which is an artificial thing. And a hybrid seed a hybrid product will not have the same nutritious value as a normal product. And the opposite of hybrid is heirloom, Heirloom. Heirloom is the opposite of hybrid, but in normal local language, you call it as nati. And nati is the opposite of hybrid. And when you sow a seed taken from a hybrid vegetable, the plant will grow, but the plant will not yield. It will just keep growing. So with the result, you will have to again and again go back to the seed company to buy your seeds. You had the famous controversy with Monsanto a few years ago because they were all supplying hybrid seeds, and the farmer could not make their own seeds. Every time they had to go to Monsanto to buy the seeds. So that is one component. The other component is against nature. Again, the basic law of nature that we are creating a different product which nature has not given us. So the nutritious values of a hybrid product is going to be much inferior to that of a regular heirloom or a nati product. Fine. What is the brand organic? Which is organic? There is something called organic certification. There are various companies which I mentioned there, like EcoCert, BioCert. These are companies which give organic certification. Organic certification is given after thorough inspection and verification, and then you get an organic certificate. But take it from me that not all organically certified products need to be necessarily organic. In a 10-acre plot, a farmer may get quarter acre certified as organic. The remaining what he grows in the 9.75 acres may be regular, but that certificate is enough to prove that the product is organic. So organic, I'm not against organic certification, but just trying to tell you that just having an organic certificate does not mean the product is necessarily organic. It could be grown in a plot, part of which has an organic certification, and it may be grown in another part of the same plot using all normal methods. So there is only one organic which is 100% genuine, and that is what you grow in your house. That is the real organic. Organic is what you grow, not what you buy from a certified agency. I'm not saying that I'm not saying all of them are not organic, but you cannot be assured that it is 100% organic. But when you grow your own product at home, nobody comes and adds chemicals and pesticides in your terrace or in your garden. So that is real organic, is what you grow. This is the essence of this Garden City movement. Grow what you eat what you grow. Grow what you eat and eat what you grow. Now, where do we grow plants? Ground space in Bangalore, it is something which is more precious than gold. A building in a 30-40 plot is considered a bungalow today, and not many of us have the luxury of having front yards and backyards where we can grow plants. So the ideal place to grow is terraces of houses, terraces of schools, terraces of offices in a cooperative manner, even terraces of apartments. The Residents Welfare Association can come together and have a system where they grow. In fact, the Bombay Port Trust in Mumbai, they have a strong association of employees, and they have been growing all their vegetables in the terrace of the Port Trust. I've personally seen that. So it's not necessary that you grow it in your houses only. Even in offices, schools, and in buildings where people can come together, can be grown in balconies. There's something called vertical garden. Maybe if you have time, I can touch upon that. But there's something called the vertical garden where you can grow in balconies of houses also. And I was telling you about Dr. Vishwanath, no, who is the founder of this movement. He was saying that once when he was landing in Bangalore by airplane, he saw that the city had practically no green cover. But looking at it from the airplane, there was a lot of terrace cover. There was a lot of terrace cover. But even when you see from an elevated view, you see there are a lot of terraces. Now, his idea was, why not convert these terraces to green spaces? And today, we've got more than 5 lakh terraces where gardens are there. Now, you can take the Cuban example for that. It happened in the 60s, Fidel Castro's time. Cuba had a terrible food shortage. Cuba had a terrible food shortage because America imposed some sanctions on it, and it could not get. It was growing only tobacco, as you all know. It had a terrible food shortage. So Fidel Castro made a rule that every terrace in Cuban cities had to have a garden. Now, Cuba could do that because it was a totalitarian regime. India can't do that because it's a democratic regime. All that has to be done is just to come voluntarily from people. But in case of Cuba, when it was made compulsory, in less than 3 years, vegetables were being transported from cities to villages to feed the farmers. I brought this example just to tell you that it is possible to grow vegetables abundantly if done in a planned, coordinated, and organized manner. Preludes to gardening. Do not start gardening unless you have a system of composting and you have a system of water management. Do not start gardening using Kaveri water to water the plants. So what you need to get in place first is water and its usage, and composting your own waste. Now, for example, look at this picture. This is what practically all of us have been doing. We have been dumping our garbage in a neighbor's place, and neighbor has been dumping his garbage in our place. Though not literally, that's exactly what is happening now. We just dump it out and it goes somewhere. The concept of garbage segregation, though, has been in paper for quite some years, has not yet taken off in practice. But I remember in Joseph's it is there, we always have 3 bins everywhere where the garbage is segregated. But not all houses still segregate garbage. They just dump it out and it goes. And where does it go? It goes next to a landfill. How many of us like to live next to landfills? We don't want landfills anywhere. And when landfill, you recently had the revolt in Mandur, when there was the proposal to have a landfill the villagers opposed, and they were perfectly right. It was the right to get access to clean air and clean water. So landfills are something which can be avoided by responsible composting, by segregating garbage, and we can do our own composting. I'll come to that a little later. The next, water. Water usage. We are going to face, or we are already facing, a severe shortage of water. Severe shortage of water. I was telling the other day in another talk, certain things are going to become history in our lifetime. One is the newspaper. All news is available on the net. Two is the credit card. All payments can be done by UPIs. You don't need a card to carry. Similarly, one more thing that's going that is going to disappear in our lifetime is that, which probably has already disappeared, is the regular well. In good old days, we had wells in villages and even in towns where you dig, say, for about 30-40 feet, you hit water. And that was enough to supply water for a whole entire family or even an entire village. Today, the concept of an open well is history. All that you need to go is to go and got a bore well. And the bore well depth keeps on increasing by the day. Today, do not expect to hit water in Bangalore, anywhere in Bangalore, at less than 1,000 feet. If you hit water at 1,000 feet, you are lucky. Whereas in my school days, not very long ago, in my school days, in the 70s and 80s, by digging manually, we used to hit water at 30 or 40 feet. Today, by power rig drilling, we are not able to hit water at 1,000 feet. So that is a big challenge. So we should not start gardening unless we make a resolve that we first go in for rainwater harvesting and go in for composting. So these are the preludes to having a garden. Wet waste to compost to grow crops, and water was we'll have to recycle the water. And of course, this slide just to tell you that we have been facing a shortage of oxygen. Now, rainwater harvesting, I'm not going to go into details of this, but just to give you a brief overview of what this rainwater harvesting is all about. It is not rocket science. It is not rocket science. In many cases, you may not even need a professional expert to do harvesting for you. Rainwater harvesting, in very simple terms, is using rainwater. Using rainwater over and over again. Using it for what? If you want to use rainwater for drinking purposes, for cooking purposes, you need to have a proper rainwater harvesting system where the water gets filtered in a pop-up filter and comes in your tap. That's not always necessary because we have got requirement for water other than for drinking only. If you want it for some other purposes, like let us say, for example, you can use rainwater for recharging your groundwater. All that you need to do, is connect all your drain pipes on your terrace to a soil outlet on the ground. Do not connect it to a concrete outlet, because when you connect it to a concrete outlet, it flows out along with the other waste, goes and lands up in the sewage, and that water cannot be used at all. Whereas if you let it go in the mud by making a spot pit in your garden itself, it goes down and recharges your groundwater. It goes down and recharges that. If not for you, for your coming generations, the water table may go up. So that is one is using the rainwater for drinking purpose. Second is using the rainwater for charging, and you can also use the rainwater for gardening without doing much treatment for the water. Like in my terrace, for example, I have connected all the drain pipes on my terrace into a syntax on the ground floor. So whenever I water the plants, whenever I water them, all that water goes through the drain pipes and fills up the syntax. And tomorrow when I need to water the plants, all that I need to do is to pump up the water from the syntax to the tank. Because plants don't drink water. They just want water to pass by them. And all that I need to do is once in a week or 10 days, I need to pump about 20 to 30% of water into the syntax and it becomes full. So for that, there was no need of any filter. In fact, it's better that you use watered water to water the plants again, because it carries all the nutrients and plants get nutrient rich water. So that is not a technical thing at all. Anybody can do it by just directing all the rainwater into a tank. There are many other ways in which you can do. Now, for example, the picture that you see on the right side of your screen, on your flush tank, why not have a wash basin? Because the water with which you wash your hands is only going to flush your toilet, and that water is safe. Every time you flush your toilet, so much water is wasted. Now you have a wash basin there. Every time you wash your hand, the water collects in the tank, and when you flush, that water is only going to flush out. Similarly, you can use the let off water from your laundry. But then there are some conditions in using soaps. You cannot use soaps which contain detergents. You must use natural soaps. Then all the rainwater which goes out from your washing machine can go directly to your plants or to your rainwater harvesting tank. Fine. So that's about a very, very, very brief introduction to rainwater harvesting. Next is composting. Basically, in composting, there are two types of composting. One is aerobic composting and the other is anaerobic composting. Simple terms, aerobic composting, you compost with air around. In anaerobic composting, you compost without air around. Anaerobic composting is also called as bokashi, Bokashi, a Japanese concept. Anaerobic composting is also called as bokashi. You can Google it. There are lots and lots and lots of pages on bokashi composting. But this is the simpler one. I'll tell you what is this aerobic composting. Again, this is also not rocket science. This has been going on without any human intervention in the forests for since thousands and thousands of years. Who do you think adds compost or nutrition to the lush forests all around the country? Nobody adds manure there. Nobody adds vermicompost there. These things get compost, like leaves fall, get compost. The excreta of animals gets compost. The dead bodies of animals gets compost. And over a period of time, this keeps on enriching the soil. So we can also create such compost. These are the things which can be used. Fruit and vegetable peels, cooked food. Of course, you shouldn't cook food and throw them into the compost for the sake of getting manure. But in the process, we waste. There is always some leftover food at home. However frugally you cook or manage, there will always be some leftover food at home. Instead of dumping it in a bin, tying it in a polythene bag and leaving it out the next day, which goes and fills a landfill, you can put it in your composting bin. That it composts, and over a period of time, it becomes manure. Meat and fish bones, tea and tea bags, we dip and throw them away. That can be put in the bin. Seeds, peels, eggshells, dried flowers, and unprinted paper. Unprinted paper. You should not put printed paper because print ink contains lead and that could be cancerous. So normal paper, waste, don't buy paper and compost it. Normal paper, waste paper, handwritten paper can be composted. So these are all things which can go into a composting. And this is a composting, aerobic composting. Most of these are homemade. You don't need anything for this. Is a all the you can just notice there are holes there. That's why it's called aerobic. It could be a mesh box like this. It could be a mesh rolled up like this. It could be a pot with some holes like this. So these are all the ways in which thing is done. Now in this, all that you'll have to do is you must start with a little bit of compost which you buy in the market. A handful of compost. You buy a handful of compost and put it over there. You keep putting your dry leaves and food and whatever is there. And after 1 or 2 days, put a handful of either sawdust or some, of course, in cities, in villages, people had cow dung. People had cow dung in the villages. Now in cities, we can't say that we don't get cow dung. Whenever you walk on the road, you stamp it. But nobody will have the heart to go and pick it up and come and put in the compost bin. So I can't ask you to use cow dung in cities. You can use, there are composting agents available in nursery shops. You can use sawdust. You can use compost itself as compost and just keep the moisture in control. And over a period of 30 to 45 days, your dry waste is going, your waste is going to get compost. So this is the concept of aerobic composting. I'll proceed as the presentation goes. If I exceed my time, I request somebody to kindly let me know so that we can stop that and we can go on with the interactive question answer session. Probably Trisama will do that.
Yes, sir. Can you wind up in 5 minutes?
Okay, fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, please let me know. It's
Yeah.
6. It's 5 o'clock now, so 5:05 I'll wind up.
Yeah, sure, sir. Thank you.
So I'll just skim through and then we can go to the specifics when you have any questions or queries. I think we've done only about 15% of the present. That's okay. But I wanted to basically focus on the concept of organic garden, importance of composting, importance of water. Now, this DIY on organic terrace gardening is it's going to show you how to make it happen. Now, these are all the questions. Let me not repeat it. All that you need is a container, not necessarily the earthen or plastic pots. Anything which can hold soil will become a container. The one on the left-hand side bottom is getting popular day by day. You can have thermocol pots, you can have plastic pots, you can have used bottles. You can have used bottles cut and made holes as containers. You can have trays as containers. You can have unwanted cartridges where bulk vegetables are supplied. They can be used as containers, or you can make your own containers with bricks and waterproof material. These are examples of DIY containers which are made. This is a container made with old cases. These are grow bags which are available in plant shops. You need not necessarily buy a grow bag. An old jute bag will do. It will come to you for 2-3 harvests. These are again made and grow bags put into frames. Baskets, cane baskets can be used. This is a common plastic flower. You can have wall mounted, and this is balcony gardening. You can have wall mounted containers. You can have ceiling mounted containers. Now, a container should contain this good growing medium. 1 part of soil. There you can add a little bit of what is called as coco peat also, because when we are doing terrace garden, we would like to keep the weight as less as possible, though weight is not a matter of concern at all. But it's good to keep the weight under control. So you can add a little bit of red soil, a little bit of compost, and a little bit of red soil, a little bit of coco peat, and add 3 parts of compost. Fill it 50% at the stage of planting and provide nutrition at critical stages. Now, these are the nutrients required by plants. Macronutrients, nitrogen, phosphorus, potash. I don't think this technical detail is necessary, but just for you to know. Now, most of these come from compost, and the micronutrients come from the soil. So, as long as I add a good compost and have good red soil, there's no need to bother about nutrition. You use compost for the macronutrients and use good soil, which is available in any nursery for the micronutrients. All right. So these are some terrace garden designs. So let's say it's a terrace. You can have vegetables here, greens here, vegetables here, and this you can alternate. Once you can plant this, when this starts yielding, you can plant this so that you keep getting a perennial supply of vegetables. In the edges, you can have small trees like lemon, drumstick. For sapota may be difficult unless you have very big terrace, but lemon and drumstick, yes, you can have. Towards the wall, you can grow creepers like bitter gourd. Pomegranate may be difficult. A pumpkin, this can be grown towards the wall so that they creep all along the wall. And in the middle, you can have trap crops or repellents which will keep the insects away. There's another plan of kitchen garden. This creativity is your limit. You can make your own thing. The common sense says that the heavier things like pots which hold drumsticks and papayas are better kept near the walls and not in the center of the terrace for weight balancing purposes. These are certain things. Staking, pruning. Let me go to the more interesting part. I was telling you. Now, pest management is the most important. Nutrition, I told you about the compost. Pest management, important thing. And in organic, we do not kill the pest. We only send them away because, as you see, the world has so many different species, and you can't even see the species called mammals here. We form a very, very, very small percentage of the living beings in the world, and even among mammals, man is the last arrival in the world. So we are the last to arrive. The earth was inhabited by so many species before us. It is our duty to respect them. It's our duty to give them their share. And even when we grow plants, be prepared to give a portion of it to so many of these pests. We don't call them pests, so many of these other species which live on those. That's fine. This is a sprays you can make. You can have neem spray. You can make your own spray with chili, garlic, and ginger extract. Shigakai spray you can make. Hing, asafoetida spray you can make. These are all things which used regularly will keep the pests away. Now, this is interesting. Apart from that, there are also non-insect pests like rats and bandicoots, squirrels, birds, pigeons, and monkeys. Let me share an experience of mine of these non-insect pests. I live near a military, not in the military, near a military mess. So there's a lot of open there. In my terrace, near my terrace, there's a lot of open. And there are a lot of squirrels, there are a lot of birds which come around to my terrace. And whenever they come, whenever a squirrel comes, it will pick only what it wants and go away. And I'm happy to share. A bird will come, pick what it wants, and go away. The only creature which is greedy, the only creature which damages and takes more than what it requires is the monkey, probably because it is our direct immediate ancestor. We have inherited those qualities from the monkeys, probably on a lighter vein. But normally, by and large, all animals like rats, bandicoots, squirrels, they take only what they want. So there is no need to go in for any protection for them. Just keep them in moderation. Healthy food. Just have a look at these slides. Change from consumption to production. Otherwise, this is going to be your future food. It's already future food for many. Fine. Thank you. Yeah, I'm done there.
Thank you so much.
Abhijit, over to you.
Ma'am, I will be taking over. I'm Pooja this side because Abhijit is having some network issues. So the first question is from roll number 21 ECO02. So the question is, if we as urban residents take the role of growing our fruits and vegetables, then what will happen? What will be the fate of millions of farmers whose life is dependent on selling those goods? Eating healthy and being self sufficient is important, but I can't shake off the fate of those people who earn their daily wages. Is there a way to take these things into consideration while being self sufficient?
Yeah, that is a good question from the other side. I mean, you're looking at it from the side of a farmer, but as I was telling you in the earlier few slides, the farmer is faced with a lot of difficulty. The farmer is faced with a lot of difficulty that they are finding it difficult to supply food for the city. They're finding it difficult to supply enough food, and this problem is not going to reduce, it's only going to increase in the coming days because less and less people are taking to farming and less land is being used for farming and urbanites growing vegetables. I don't think will in any way affect the farmers because farmers, majority, I think more than 90% of the farmers are dependent on growing cereals and pulses. And there is always a demand for these. It's impossible to grow cereals and pulses and grains, food grains in terraces. That is going to remain the prerogative of the farmers. So by growing vegetables, I don't think the livelihood or the income of the farmer is going to be affected. Yes.
Yes, sir. There's one more question. So it's from roll number 21 ECO08. So in India, a country with a large population, the sheer scale and volume of waste which is generated on a regular basis is huge. Shouldn't the government show more leadership in the matter of waste management?
The government introduced, in the case of Bangalore, the government introduced waste segregation a few years ago. And even today, I know households which do not segregate waste and they pick up a fight with the waste picker. if they refuse to pick it up for the sake of non-segregation. I think the policies of the government have been good, whether be it at the local body level or the state level or the center policies. Now, these waste management things basically come to the local body, which take the job of waste management and even rainwater harvesting. Like for example, it was compulsory that rainwater harvesting be made in all houses uh, uh, above a certain square feet. This was introduced a few years ago, but sadly, only on paper, rainwater harvesting has been shown in most houses just to avoid the penalty. Now, practically, very little of rainwater harvesting is happening. I think more than the government, it is the we who are to be blamed, that we need to be more compliant with what policies are being done. And as I also gave you the Cuban example, India being a democratic country, it's very difficult to go beyond a certain limit to implement certain policies. It's more the citizens to take it forward, and that is we as urban educated can do our bit to set an example.
Sir, we have one more question
Yep.
from Professor Anita Norona.
Ah.
So, ma'am, over to you, ma'am.
Dr. Rajesh, I just have a question regarding the pricing of organic food. When we go to a market, we see that they are priced exorbitantly. So, what is your take on the pricing structure of organic food?
Yeah, as of now, the price of organic food is exorbitant. One, because the supply is very limited. The supply of organic food is very limited, and the demand sort of outstrips the supply. That is one, and there's also an exotic aspect involved to it. It is considered fancy to consume any organic food. The number of suppliers supplying certified organic food is quite little. Not only food, not only vegetables, even organic products like Organic India. I mean, these are all companies which do that. 24 Mantras, these are all companies which do that. It is probably because it is still in the initial stages, the organic food. But in reality, when organic products are grown in the long run and when it becomes self-sustaining, it's only going to be much less than a chemically prepared food.
Thank you, sir.
Welcome. Yes, anybody?
I, Pooja Shankavaram, on behalf of St. Joseph's College and the entire Department of Economics, would like to extend a very hearty vote of thanks to all the speakers and attendees for actively participating in this event. I would like to extend a big thanks to our guest of honor, Dr. S. Rajesh, for your intellectual and knowledgeable approach on the topic urban farming and waste management and for gracing this event with your presence. Thank you, sir. I would
Thank you,
like to,
Pooja. Thank you so much. If it were an offline meet, I would have got a bouquet now.
yes, sir. I would like to specifically thank Professor Neville Pradeep de Souza from the Department of Visual Communication for judging the logo design event. Thank you, sir. I may also like to express our sincere thanks to Mr. Clement de Souza, the Dean of the School of Humanities, and Professor Anita Norona, the HOD of the Department of Economics, for their suggestions, advice, and best wishes for all of us. A special mention to the PG coordinator, Dr. Nikhil Jha, Professor Teresa Joy, the coordinator of Oikonomika, and to all the faculty of the Department of Economics for their constant efforts in developing the department and for always encouraging and motivating us to do our best. I would also like to thank all my co-members of Oikonomika, my batchmates, and all other students for gracing the inaugural event of Oikonomika, actively participating and being such an interactive audience and making this event a grand success. Thank you all and have a wonderful day ahead.
Thank you.
Thank you, Pooja, and thank you, Rajesh sir, for delivering such an inspiring lecture.